Twitch chat. Alright, the new champion Seris. She has, these are her abilities. She has Soul Orb. Basically you spam left click and you get, it'll just send out balls of energy or whatnot. They do 210 damage. They're direct damage. It's not a particularly useful damaging ability, but it is very nice for covering corners, like holding angles, doing that sort of stuff. So it's much more of a spam ability. It's kind of like how you would play a Drogos, but obviously a lot less effective. You're just spamming corners, you're spamming spots where you think someone might peek, and you're just spamming point. Very much like a damage rocket Drogos. Her right click is a healing ability. As you can see, it heals 100k per second over 2 seconds, so that's 2k total. If you get one of her legendary cards, that can go up to 3k total. It does not have infinite range. The range is pretty far, but without the legendary card that increases the range, it doesn't have infinite range. So if you're playing on like Timbermill or Fish Market, you might end up in a scenario where you can't heal people that are far away unless you have the legendary card that allows for it. Now, Seris F is a kind of a mix of two abilities. It's a mix of Ghost Walk and like Sky Invis. It has a little charge up time, a little activation time, but once that's completed, you go into a immune form, sort of like Ghost Walk, but on top of the Ghost Walk you're also invisible. You cannot be like interrupted, you can't be damaged, you can't be CC'd when you're in the Ghost Walk. The only thing that can happen is while you're activating it, you can die. So that's important to know. If you're in the middle of activating, it does have an activation time, and like once you're past that activation time, you're perfectly fine for 5 seconds. Also worth noting, when you're using your F, you actually get out of combat. So like it has enough time for you to get out of combat. So if you get around a corner, you're going to start healing before it's actually over. You can cancel the ability as well, worth noting. Her Q, Ren Soul, basically when you use your left click, it stacks, for each target you hit, it stacks 1 charge. If you stack up these auto attacks, then you can use your Q to detonate them. If you've played Smite, which a lot of you I'm sure have, it's sort of like how Zeus detonate works. You hit them with an auto attack, you get up to 3 stacks on Zeus, and you can detonate it for damage. Obviously, since she's not a damage dealer, this is not going to do a lot of damage. In fact, what it's mostly used for, there's 2 options to use Ren Soul for, and that is 1 for self-heal. As you can see, she heals for 15% of her maximum HP when she detonates 1 charge, so 4 charges is then 60%. Now you can also add on with cards that you heal for more per charge, so you can easily heal for 100% with that card, and also there's also a card that gives you movement speed for having a charge on a target. So if you hit someone with your left click, as long as they have a stack on them, you're getting movement speed. Her ult is basically a Zarya ult if you played Overwatch, an Enigma ult in Dota, I guess. It's you throw it out there, and then anybody that's near it will be tagged and pulled in to the center. It also stuns them for a little bit. It's not an active, like it's not actually a stun, but it does actually keep them there for a split second after the ult, so you have time to get some damage off. So your basic combo is like throwing out the ult, spamming left click and stacking a bunch of charges on all of them, and then detonating. Doesn't Orisa have this ability too? Yes, Orisa in Overwatch has a similar ability. So yeah, that's her kit. Generally speaking, you're playing it almost entirely as a healer, much more like a SNEK than you would be playing Ying, where you're doing a lot of damage and healing. Just like healing's the main priority on this champion, unlike say Ying or Grover. So like you're going to be looking for heals constantly, and when you don't have a heal, then you can just start spamming your left click. Your F is just to get out of trouble, and then your Q is, so far from what I've done, it's just been basically a self-heal. I'm not using it for damage at all really, unless I pop my ult. It's just like I try to get as many stacks on as possible consistently, and I try to keep them there as long as possible. That way if there's an Androxus or a Bomb King or something chasing me down, I can pop my F, get out of combat, make sure the cauterize is gone, and then once I get out of my F, I pop my Q and heal up to full. That's generally the combo. Like the main combo is obviously just like use your heal. Like that's, you don't have to worry about that. That's just like right click somebody. And then the main thing is like if you're in trouble, you stack up as much as possible. Like you stack up your left click as much as possible. Pop your F once you're out of combat and you don't have the cauterize effect anymore. You cancel the F, pop your Q, heal up to full. That's what I've been doing. It's worked out pretty well so far. So how long do stacks last? They last about 6 seconds, I think. So you definitely have time to get into your F and cancel it and detonate to the Q so you heal up. So yeah, that's like her main kit. As mentioned, she has 3 legendary cards. There's 2 of them that I would say are viable. There's definitely one that I say is the clear-cut winner for now at least, and that's Mortal Reach. It gives you pretty much infinite range on the heal, so you don't have you like never have to worry about being too far away or anything. And it also increases the duration by 1 second. So you're healing for 1,000 per second. Normally you'd be healing 1,000 per second over 2 seconds, but instead you're healing 1,000 per second over 3 seconds. So the total heal is then 3,000 instead of 2,000. So this is definitely the dedicated heal build. It's the way to go in most cases, I think. There are probably options for the other 2 cards, but you're gonna, especially if you're playing as a solo healer, you need to be focusing on that heal. If you don't want to run that, if you want to run a more solo style, you could probably get away with either of the other 2 cards. Agony basically makes it so when you stack up 4 charges on somebody, you can pop your Q and stun them. It stuns them for a second on top of the other various effects you get. So that's a pretty decent card, especially against like tanks that aren't so mobile. You can guarantee that stun. It works on say like a Fernando. I think at least it works on like a Fernando. If you get 4 charges on him, he pops his shield, then you can detonate, it will stun him and he will drop his shield. So it can definitely be useful in that regard. Soul Collector is more just like a general solo play survivability card. Basically, for each time you detonate a charge, you increase your HP by 2%. That effect stacks up to 8 times, so it goes up to I think a maximum of like 3,100 HP in that area. But there are also cards, specifically Revenant, that increase your base maximum HP. So you can get up to like, with all the cards, you can get up to like 3,400 maybe, 3,500 HP, which is pretty damn tanky. Issue being that if you do die, then you do lose those stacks and you have to get them again. But honestly, like that's not a big issue. Like you can get them back up really quick. So if you want to be really tanky, you want to be more of a brawler, if you will, then you can do that. The issue I have with it is that you can stay pretty safe on her because you have that long range heal. You can stay so safe, and your F and your self heal already give you so much survivability that I don't really see a need to have that. Like it can definitely be good, but if you're going into brawl with people and just be really tanky, I don't see much point in picking her to begin with. Like you're picking her to be a healer, she doesn't do that much damage, so that brawl thing probably not going to work. And if I were to brawl, I would probably prefer having a stun where I can like consistently confirm damage. But overall, I definitely say Mortal Reach is the way to go. I've been using that for the most part. I've tested both the other cards though, and they both are okay. They have their little niche that they fill. As for loadouts, I've already experimented a bit. The main one, so we can go through each card first. So we have Bane. Every soul charge you detonate reduces the cooldown of Restore Soul. Restore Soul is the heal. So basically every time you detonate, you're decreasing the cooldown of your right click heal. It's a mediocre card. Your right click's already on like, it can go down to like a 3-second cooldown I think. So it's like this card's not particularly influential. You're not really detonating for damage that much anyways, and the detonate is a relatively long cooldown. So I'd prefer just having something else instead, since I wouldn't find this particularly useful, especially for something that I can only do every like 10 to 15 seconds. Dark Sight reveals when you hit somebody with your left click. This is definitely a good level 1 card. I would definitely pick this up. It just helps your teammates out. If you're fighting someone jumps you in the back line, and you say, there's a buck on me, then they go, okay, like turn around to try to help you. They immediately know where he is because they can see him, right? Like normally they would have to look at you, look where you're looking, who you might be fighting, but in this case they can just immediately see whoever you're fighting, so that can definitely be useful. Plus, the spammy nature of the left click means that you are just going to be randomly hitting people sometimes, which can be very helpful for your team if they have vision on whoever you're hitting. So this is definitely a great level 1 card, maybe level 2 if you really feel like going for that. Essence Rip, basically the heal that you get from using your Q is more effective. It's at 15% per charge at base, but this can go all the way up to 32%, so that's what, 32, 47, I guess? 47% heal per charge. So even at having this at level 2 basically means that if you have 2 charges on someone, you're almost healing to full by just pressing Q with 2 charges. So this is definitely a good card to have at a mid-tier level. Not a great level 4 card, definitely a better like level 2 card if anything. Wickedness, again, I don't think the whole Ren Soul concept, it's a good concept, but it's not something you want to be using too often. I've only been really finding it useful as a survivability trait more than a damage trait. Like, I do 200 damage per auto attack anyways, so detonating my charges for an extra 400 damage is kind of meh. I would definitely say Wickedness is a meh card because you're not using the Q anyways. Shadow Travel, so you have 4 cards for Shadow Travel as well. Increases the movement speed when you're using your F. This is definitely a great card. It can, as I said before, you can actually get out of combat when you use F. So if you can get out of combat and get around a corner real quick, this can be really helpful. It is important that you get around a corner, get into a place where you can heal up out of combat. It's definitely useful. I wouldn't say have this at a high level. This is more like a level 1, level 2 card, just so you have a bit more movement speed. But it is definitely a really good level 1 or level 2 card. Reduce the cooldown of Shadow Travel. Again, I found that you can be pretty safe because you essentially have 2 survivability abilities where you can get out of combat with your F, or you can heal up to full with your Q. I personally haven't found using my F particularly useful. I only use it out of like desperation because I can be so safe with my heal anyways and my left click. I tend to not be in a place where I need to use my F very often. So using Duskwalker, it's like you're kind of wasting a card slot, I guess, where you're spending all these card points into a ability that you're not using as often as you might expect. Heal for 50 every second while in Shadow Travel. Again, I don't think it's particularly useful. You're healing out of combat anyways if you're in your F, so getting that extra heal is kind of meh, especially when there are other cards that can heal you instead. Reduce the cast time of Shadow Travel. This one could be kind of useful. Again, I haven't found too many situations where I am dying when I'm activating my F. Like, it's happened once or twice in probably 6-7 games. So I haven't found this card to be particularly useful. You could definitely get it like level 1 if you just want a little bit faster, because I've definitely found that it's just that little bit faster that you need it to be. But definitely not at a high level. There's too many other good options to have this at a high level. Blood Pact, this is definitely a core card in my opinion. Basically, every time you use your heal on someone, you're healing yourself. This is very similar to Ritual Magic on SNEK. When you're healing someone, you're healing yourself, which is very important. Obviously, she does already have a lot of self-sustain, but if you can, a lot of the time for healers, you take a little bit of poke, and then you just want to heal up to full again. So using your Q just to heal that little bit, like detonating a charge, and using that self-heal just to heal like 20%, it's a bit wasteful. So if you can have this card instead, just to make sure you're always topped off, that's definitely what I would prefer. So I recommend getting Blood Pact at level 4. It's pretty damn good. Maybe level 3 if there are other cards that are useful. Fade to Black. This card is relatively useful. It's definitely, I would recommend getting this instead of a Duskwalker. Basically, it just reduces the cooldown of your F, your movement ability, your immunity. For every time you right-click someone, then it just decreases the cooldown of that. So if you're in desperate need of it, like healing someone else will basically give you more survivability, because you're going to be consistently decreasing the cooldown of your immunity. So I definitely say pick this up at a relatively high level. Reduce the cooldown of Restore Soul by 0.5 seconds up to 2 seconds. Again, this is definitely a solid card. The heal's on a 5-second cooldown to begin with, so getting it down to 3 seconds, that's like straight up game changing. Like that will greatly increase the amount of healing. You're like at that point you're almost doubling the amount of healing you're doing. So this is definitely a core card. You should have this at level 4. I can't think of any exception to having this at level 4. Every second channeling restore generates 2 ammo. This is definitely a good option. This is another like really solid level 1 card. You're gonna be right clicking a lot, so getting ammo from that is pretty ridiculous. Like you're very rarely gonna have to reload, because again, we just discussed you have a 3-second cooldown on your heal. It channels for 3 seconds, so you're gonna be getting 6 seconds or 6 ammo every 6 seconds basically. So you're very rarely gonna run out of ammo then. Would definitely recommend this at level 1 at the very least. Probably only at level 1 actually, just due to how many other good cards there are. Increase your ammo count. Not a great card because you already have this card that allows you to gain ammo back. So you could use this at level 1 instead of Spirit Leech, but I see no reason why you would. Spirit Leech, just overall throughout the game, you're going to get more benefit from Spirit Leech than you would with Evan Dynamo. Revenant, good option maybe if you're using the maximum HP card, but I wouldn't take this in my normal build. You already have a decent amount of HP, and you already have so much survivability in her kit that I wouldn't replace any of my healing cards with this card. Reload speed, completely irrelevant, just like pretty much any character's reload speed card. Wouldn't recommend it at all. Umbral Gate's an interesting one. It's definitely a viable option. Basically, when you shoot someone and you stack your charge on them, if you have 1 charge on anybody on the entire map, then you move faster, starting at 8 up to 32%. So this gives you a lot of survivability, a lot of movement speed by just spamming your left click, because a lot of the time you have just 1 charge, and we already mentioned that you're not going to be using your Ren Soul too much anyways. It's more of a desperation thing, trying to heal up quick when someone's attacking you. So you're not really going to be detonating your charges anyways. So a lot of the time you're just going to have stacks on people. You're going to have those charges on people. So getting movement speed for that, it's a pretty good benefit. So yeah, overall, I'd probably for straight up healing, I'd probably build something like this. I'd probably have something like this. So I heal a bit. So I get topped off. I have the minimum cooldown I possibly can have on my heal. So always healing people, always making sure everyone's topped off. I can be topped off by having Blood Pact at level 3. It makes it much easier for me. I can stay topped off at all times. And then honestly, I might actually just take no Fade to Black just so I can have Dark Whisper. But I'd rather have Essence Rip at level 3 just to make sure that just 2 charges is going to heal me up so much already. So I'd probably build something like this if I'm going a heal build. This gives me as much healing as I possibly can have. It gives me some sustainability when I want to top myself off. When I'm taking a little bit of poke, I can always keep myself as healthy as possible. If I get hard committed to, like if a Bomb King or an Androxus or a Lex is trying to chase me down, I can use my Essence Rip. I can heal myself back up to full. Worst case scenario, they have Cauterize 3, then I can pop my F. I get some movement speed in my F, I can walk around a corner, get out of combat and start healing, and then the second my F is over, I can pop my Q to make sure I'm guaranteeing the heal, right? I'm just making sure that the Cauterize effect is gone. I make the most out of the healing. And then again, as you said, Spirit Leech is just a good level 1 card. Basically just means I always have ammo to use. So yeah, that's basically it. If you want to build something for more solo play, I guess you could get Umbral Gate's always a good option. I would still say you probably want Soul Forge, but what you could do instead is that you could skip Blood Pact. If you're going to go for a more brawly style with either the stun on the detonate or having more HP, you might not need Blood Pact as much. I'd still go full cooldown reduction on the heal though. But then you could get, say, Umbral Gate 3, you could potentially get Dark Whisper at a higher level. Spirit Leech is still a good option. And then if you're planning to go more deep You could get Fade to Black, but I'd still recommend Essence Rip at least level 2. Maybe I'd have something more like this instead. So it's a very similar build. How long does the stack last on enemies? 6 seconds. So you definitely have time to make use to get out of combat, get the Claw Rise effect on, and then pop your Q. So yeah, that's basically it for a more supportive build. I would definitely go with this. If you're going to play in a more competitive manner where you're playing more safe and you're focusing more on healing, I would get a build similar to this. If you're just going into a casual game and you want to go ham and you just want to be more of a brawler, I'd maybe get some movement speed instead of the self heal. So you already have quite a bit of self heal and sustainability anyways. So yeah, that's about it.